retirement. I just had a post this week.
That's okay.
With Jeremy Means.
That's okay.
And so apparently now, ladies and gentlemen, you do realize that KT Heavy
It's going to get heavy.
is going to get heavy.
Well, he's working on getting heavier. He's eating.
This stuff is good.
That's
dude.
his second bowl, man.
Dude, and I only had like a half bowl.
I got to lose some weight, this baby belly over here. Give
Yeah.
me another bowl of that ham and beans over there. I'll give him some of that.
Get her done.
What does Kenny have to say? Good night, guys.
Good night, guys.
He worked, man. Okay, he works, extremely, early in the morning and stuff like that. Kenny, it's always awesome to have you part of the
He
show.
is one of our faithful listeners.
Yeah, he is.
That dude sends us a message
Oh, yeah.
of one every week. We get something from Kenny, and man, we appreciate him listening.
Well,
and
even
I know-
back when I was listening, I remember you guys sitting here chuckling, going, Kenny,
Yeah.
easy.
Well, you know what's
He usually
funny?
talks crap about me.
What's funny is we
That's
had
why we like
another.
him.
We just had another one of our loyal listeners. I mean, a guy that listens
Uh-huh.
every single week was actually very close to the studio moments ago. Todd Miller was at Jetstream,
Yeah, he was.
and he was kind of hanging out, getting there. Family brought the family in for some massages, and
Mm-hmm.
tried to get him back here on the mic, and he says that ain't gonna happen, Captain. Nope, not gonna. You
No trophy involved, no mic for me.
That's exactly what it was, too.
Trophy or not, it's hard to get Todd to talk on a mic. I mean, he's a pretty humble guy and laid back and chill and just.
I'm still telling you that I'm going to get Kyle Yak in here.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
All right. Things are
Yep.
getting real far-fetched here. But, I'm looking forward to going out and
We
racing
helped
with you.
him raise close to over $5,000. He better come in here.
We don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, that was insanity. But
That
looking
was
forward
crazy.
to getting back out to the tracks. And, we're going to do some stuff, not just at Salem. We're going to be kind of all over the place, and we're not going to run for points or any of that stuff. We're going to go out and have a good time.
Have a good time.
We've got some very good quality carts that we're
well,
going to be in.
With that said, with the go-karts, I guess, of course, now everybody wants to know the other media part about it is that I will be in a Dwarf car.
Right.
And,
He is
and
at his-
running. That is a 100% for
Yep.
sure thing. We might miss the first race, but I have to give a big, huge shout out to Kevin Hicks and the Hicks Racing Group for providing that. They came up to me and said, "Hey, check us out. Let's do this thing." And I said, "All right."
Well, you can't say no to
Yeah,
that.
let's hammer down. I mean, they got top quality
That's
stuff.
a good ride. That's a good ride. You're lucky
They know what they're doing. He says, "Arrive and drive, son." He says, "Let's get this going."
I love
he
it.
says, "You guys do so much for us and everything else." And I'm like, "All right, well, got my suit pressed and tear-offs on and ready to go, man."
I love it.
Dude, I'm sitting here and I just got looking at this picture of this motor.
Is that insane? There's 3 of them.
Are you
So-
kidding me?
Are we going to have Moxie Media on that dwarf car?
Moxie Mini will be all over everything.
All right. I like that.
Yes, sir.
Solid.
Yeah,
Why
Kevin.
are you looking at me, Corey?
I'm just waiting to figure out when you're going to get behind the wheel.
We've already been over this.
No, it's going to happen.
So
I may end up behind the wheel for a race next summer.
You will end up behind the wheel for a race this winter.
That's right.
No.
And check this out. If things play out well, you're going to see the redheaded stepchild of Kenny Miller possibly piloting the dwarf car that I'm going to drive for a race.
Oh, it's going to get ugly.
We've sat there, and it still has to be confirmed to make sure that he's not scared. Because you do realize, when he jumps into different types of cars, he does get a little nervous.
Why, that's
I'm just BSing him because that man can drive the wheels off anything. It doesn't matter what he gets into. I think he really wants to try out a dwarf car and run a couple laps down there at Salem this year. But I think that'll be fun too.
Salem is such an awesome track. I mean,
So
the
from
only
what it
experience-
used to be from the small little horse arena,
Right, when
Okay,
we
and
were-
the grandstands were like literally on top. I mean, it was like bap.
Yeah.
Now you have
back in the day when
Racing
Josh and I
room.
were banging doors there when we were young men.
you literally are banging doors.
Yeah, it is. Man, it's so much faster and wider, and I mean, you can drive that car in. I mean, the cage carts a few years ago, 2 years ago, we had Charlie was out there, Charlie James,
Yep.
with the radar gun, and he had Bryson James in a cage cart coming down the straightaways at 65 miles an hour into turn 3. That's cruising around that track, man.
That's nuts.
It's not. What is it? A tenth of a mile? Is that what they call that? I think it's a tenth of a mile.
I think so. On the is it on the inside?
It's,
Or on the
it's a
outside?
fairly. It's seriously, it's a good size.
I know
track.
they bring in a lot of dirt and
Oh, yeah.
they're just setting
Well,
up
that
fences
dirt-
and stuff. This week
Right.
they had a work party and stuff.
The dirt they use there is the same dirt. Bob Leach, owner of Albany Motocross, he has used that same dirt for over 20 years, And that dirt it's so weird. It's kind of gritty. It takes rubber.
It takes rubber.
Super smooth, but it doesn't burn your tires up.
Nope.
It's just the weirdest compound of materials, and it's a mixture that he has kind of perfected over the last few, 2 decades or whatever. But he uses the same dirt every year, and with all the dirt he's got, I mean,
right?
It would be nothing to
Yeah.
to go get new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But this stuff, it's got rubber in it. I mean, literally, and they race. And this is how it gets tight. It doesn't rut up. It doesn't chunk up. They'll run the bikes, the Speedway bikes on it, and it doesn't tear the track up.
Wow.
Just super, super smooth, and it's super fast. Super fast.
I'm ready. I'm excited. I mean, it's been a little while since being in a KT, but
the KTs are fun though. That's where
yeah,
it's
they
at.
are.
When it comes to Speedway karting,
it's back to your roots, and you
Well, it
never
is.
lose your roots.
Here's the thing about it. It's super affordable. You can go get if you want to go buy a top-of-the-line engine, from carb to pipe, best you can buy. You can get a good engine. I mean, seriously, for $1,200.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, you can go get a really good engine, pre-owned, for $600.
Gone through.
Gone through for $600, and go out and be, you can run for the win.
Mm-hmm.
And these karts, I mean, you can put together a really competitive kart for what, $2,000?
Yeah.
$2,000, and you go out and have. And I'm serious, when you can
And just
go
have
out,
a good time.
That's what it's all about. You really do have a good time because you can race door to door. I mean, you're going to bang doors with the bodies we run now and the way these cars are built. It's things get a little.
the wedges give you a self-conscious.
It gives you a little more confidence, a little more
Uh-huh.
protection, but at the same time, you know that you're in a cage, you're in a cart that doesn't have belts, without a cage, and that's the thing about it is the racing is for the most part pretty respectful
Yeah, it is.
until you get to the big races. But and then you're going to go door to door, and then the thing about it too is you don't really have to worry about being out-dollared. We all run the same engine. You're going to have guys that, might go out and do a little bit more with the engine. But overall, I mean, what are you going to gain? We're all running about 20 to 22 horsepower on the high end of these karts.
Right. Depends on pipe, depends on, header, depends on, flex length.
But when you're running 55, 60 miles an hour and your butt is about an inch off the ground.
Oh, jeez.
Speed feels like it's doubled. You're
Yeah,
cruising
it
around
does.
pretty good. But the thing about these karts now, the new karts, all the adjustments with the caster and the camber and the way these new chassis are built, you can put lead in the rear, and constantly keep the car turning. I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's the karts from when Josh and I started racing in the old Invaders.
I had my very first cart
Was it
that
a
I
bug?
got was a Bug Wasp.
Mine was a Bug Black Widow.
Okay, so we were down. I was 8 years old.
Yep.
And Bill Arnold come out,
Mhm.
and we just got done running because we run Sundays down there on the inside of the track.
Yep.
And Bill Arnold come up to me, and I was actually down there with Tom from TC Racewear.
Yep.
And,
Hackworth.
yeah. And I was all talking about, it's like, hey, you know what? I really want to get into this, blah, blah. And so my dad sat there and said, all right, if you're good, blah, blah, because we were running sprint cars and late models and street stocks and all that stuff down there. And I'm like, okay. And Bill comes up to me and says, have you been good last year? I said, well, yes, sir, I have. He says,
Total lie.
no way. No way. I've always been a good kid. So Bill comes up and he says, back that truck over there. He says, go on over there and whatever, see what's in there. It was a turnkey KT with a Bug Wasp. I was just ecstatic. I'm like, oh my god, are you serious? And had at that time we had the small Nerf bars on the side, just with the plackers.
Right.
And I'm like, this is cool. And he says, you can't run that motor yet, son. He says, you're gonna start in the Briggs class. You're gonna run junior 2. You're gonna run junior 1 4-cycle. From there, you'll run junior 2 4-cycle. And then from there, you'll
Work
go to
your
the
way to
KT.
KTs.
Blah, yeah. And I'm like, okay. And sure enough, my dad had one, and that's where we started. I ran a straight pipe at Willamette Speedway, and I thought I was the coolest darn person out there.
I worked my way all the way up to the star cars.
Yep.
The old 10 horse
one
Tecumsehs
stuff.
that, yeah,
Oh my gosh.
10 horse Tecumsehs that were built. I mean, you're pushing high horsepower, high torque, 360 cc alcohol motors. I will tell you a funny story talking about Wayne Felch.
Mm-hmm.
I bought that Star car from Bob Jeffrey, and it was the car he won the championship in the prior year. Now, that car had a lot of wins on it. It was very competitive, but it was an identical sister car to Bob's crew chief at the time, Wayne Felch. Okay, so they were the only 2 cars in the class that we actually had starters on them. Electric starter. Had a motorcycle battery mounted behind the seat and hit a button, start the car. So I have to hook it up.
That's almost like the Rotax Max.
Right, similar to. And Wayne and I go out and we're running 1-2 in the feature. And I'm working on trying to pass him. Now, and that dude can drive a cart. He's hard to pass. And I made a move getting into 1, and I thought I had him. Then I made a little contact. And I spun both of us. It was totally my fault. Spun both of us. Both of these cars had these long, slow, half spins. It was really slick, but it was like this long. We're turning into a long, slow slide, and it kind of backed up and kind of bumped the.
This is what I meant?
Yeah.
Okay, so the tires and everything. Yeah.
When it did, both cars died. Wayne and I are sitting there. We look over each other. We hit the button. We fire the cars out. Whoa, we take off. We had such a lead. We still finished first and second. But as we take off down the back stretch, we run through turns 3 and 4. We come around the next lap through turns 1 and 2. And I got on the high side of him thinking, I got to pass this dude. He's so good in the kart. So I go to pass him, and we come out of turn 2, and I look over at him. I look over at Wayne, and he's already looking at me. Right? He's staring at me. I'm staring at him, and we're going down the backstretch wide open, staring at each other like, who's going to lift? And it was nuts. He ended up, we're staring at each other. We're not even looking where we're going. We're just staring at each other down the backstretch, just wow, and these big old Star engines. And I actually finished 1-2 in that race, and he won. But it was, that the karting memories, and just having fun. It's just the element of fun it's not so. I mean, it is serious, but it's not like you're running a stock car or a sprint car or a modified where you can do it for a 50th of the cost and have just as much fun.
Well, do you remember when years ago, Phil Fow, of course, World of Karting at that time, was located there off of Alberta and Interstate in Portland. I raced for Phil for many years and got with Chris Ager at Pat's Acres, and that's when we built that dirt track in the back. That was cool. That was fun racing. And then when Portland Speedway came about, I
was going to bring that up because you and I had some battles.
God, Portland was awesome, man.
You know what? I liked that
out of turn 1 and 2 on the infield at turn 1 and 2 at Portland Speedway. That was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, the track was on, like the big half mile. It was on the infield, out of turn 2. And it sat at an angle.
Yep.
So, if you're coming out of turn 2 down the backstretch, the racetrack actually sat in this little grass patch, actually at an angle, a weird little angle. That right there, I loved going there to race, but I hated that track. I hated it because it was the slickest track.
It was the stupid. It would slick over immediately.
The sun. It was in the sun all day, and it was that thing was slicked over before pill draw was over.
Oh jeez.
Oh, it was awesome, and Phil, in his prime. Give a lot of credit and stuff to Phil Fow. He did a lot of stuff for a lot of karters, in the local area and everything else.
He helped you immensely. He helped me immensely.
Yeah,
with parts and his drivers. And I'll share a quick story about Phil. Since we're talking about karting, Salem Speedway. I had got this new bowler. I had a new bowler with the weight jack.
Oh yeah, the weight jack knob. Yeah.
Had that and.
Well, hold on, Joel. Do you know what we're talking about?
Not a clue.
On the right front. Right or left, depends on where you want jack weight, but usually it's on the right front. Where the spindle is, right? You had this aluminum rod with basically like a twist dial on top of it.
A knob.
And what happened is going down the straightaway or during caution or like that, you can actually jack weight or take weight out of the front of the car.
Change the percentages.
It would either lift or lower the front spindle. So like what NASCAR has now where you have the push button where you can lower the weight jack, right, in the back. That's what you basically under caution.
Now you under caution, you see a driver, pull himself up on the wheel and reach out front and start cranking weight into it. It was kind of weird to get used to. But I had that car, and I was up at Salem, and I knew the car was fast. It was best of everything. And I was really struggling to figure this car out. And I said, hey, Phil, can you watch this next heat race I'm in and kind of watch the car and talk to me and about what do you think I should do for setup? Just kind of watch this car. And he says, sure. He goes, I'll sit here and watch you. So I go out and I run that heat race.